Hello, college success students. Hope you all are well. We are covering chapter 12 today. It is the last chapter in the book, so we are just about done with the class. Hope you are set up well for the end of the semester. We'll be talking more about those things in a later class. But let's get started with chapter 12. Let me share my screen and we'll get right into it. All right, so chapter 12 talks about moving from college into your career, and talks about some of the things that you would want to do towards that goal. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time in the book with the material you read in the book. I'm going to share a lot from Career One Stop, one of the sites that I shared in a previous lesson. So let's get started. There's one thing I'd like to share from the book, and it comes from section 12.5. Section 12.5 talks about 10 traits that employers are looking for in their workers that they're hiring. And I think this is valuable to look through. Basically, what are employers looking for in college graduates? What are the skills? What are the traits? What are the values that they want their employees to have coming out of college and being ready for the workforce? So let's go through these. The first thing is a strong work ethic. This is something that, regardless of the industry you're working in, regardless of the skills that you have or the job requirements, every employer is going to want individuals who just have that that work ethic that they can trust. They're not worried about their workers slacking off and wasting time and wasting money and efficiency. And that strong work ethic shows a lot about who you are as a person and your character. And so that's something that's really important that employers are looking for. Number two, they want people who know, and are willing to put time into studying about the industry that they're in, about the company that they work for. So when you go in for an interview, or you're actually hired and you're working for a company, you want to learn about that organization. You want to research its history, understand what it values, the vision that the company has, so that you can be fully part of that organization and feel like the employers feel like you're buying into to who they are. Number three, employers are looking for problem solvers. Okay. They're not just looking for people who say, hey, I'm running into this difficulty, tell me what to do. That's someone who certainly, someone who can get things done when told to do so is important, but more important are people who, they run into a trouble or some issues, some problem that they have to take care of, and they don't just come with the problem, they come with possible solutions. So, you come to your supervisor, you come to your boss and you say, hey, not exactly sure how we should handle this, but here are two ideas I came up with. What do you think about those? People who are problem solvers, again, in any industry that you're going to end up in, you're going to have things that come up like that where you have to come up with solutions. And so someone who's a critical thinker, we've talked a lot about higher order thinking skills and critical thinking skills in this class. Someone who can come up with solutions to problems is very valuable to a company. Number four, you're going to have to speak and write in any industry that you go into, whether it's a science, engineering, tech field, or more of a humanities, liberal arts field, like journalism. Obviously, you're going to have to do writing there, but all along that spectrum, there are times where you're going to have to write and speak in a way that communicates well and doesn't cause confusion or conflict. So clear communication is going to be important no matter what industry you end up in. Number five, you have to have people skills. If you're constantly having issues with coworkers and there's conflict and there's drama and you're not willing to work as in a group and you're just a lone wolf and can't be trusted to get things done with others, that's going to be difficult for you, in your workplace. So someone who's a good team player who can work together well with others is something that's important to, again, whatever industry you end up in, that's going to be something you're going to have to work with. Number 6, there's some things that are policies and rules within an organization that, you're going to learn and be trained in, and you're going to have to follow those things. But there's also unwritten rules that you want to get to know. And that's just, having a desire to get to know the deeper culture of an organization. The water cooler talks, when you hear people talk about how things are done and, oh, that's not how we do things here. Those are important things to pick up on and make sure you're trying to buy into what the organization, the company stands for. It's similar to what I mentioned about doing research and studying up on an organization. This is a little deeper into just getting to know some of those unwritten rules and making sure you're not kind of pushing against a wall in an area that doesn't fly in a certain company or organization. Number 7, another important skill is to be able to gather and use information. Okay, so again, this is not just for people who are doing research as a career, or an investigator or a journalist or something like that. There are times when no matter what industry you're working in, you have to be able to compile information, to gather information, to look and search for important information, and to analyze it, to organize it, to put it in a form that can be shared with others. That's something, in the business field, in a lot of those group people-centered industries, you're going to be doing those kind of things. And if you have skills on that or can develop those skills, that's going to be, invaluable to the organization you work for. Everyone going through high school, I guess not everyone, but a lot of people are, often say, when am I ever going to use math in the real world? You'd be surprised at how important having a number sense, being able to understand how numbers work, data, spreadsheets, those kind of skills are really important in industries all across the spectrum. So if you're someone who's good with math, good with data, good with understanding how numbers work and can analyze those things and present it to people in an understandable way, that's going to be a huge bonus for you in terms of your value in a company. In school, we often talk about extra credit and going above and beyond what's expected. And you can do that in your workplace as well. Any kind of extra skill, it's not a requirement for your job, but something that you bring to the table. Maybe a foreign language, and you're fluent in German, and your company has some connections with German companies, and you have to interact at times. And the fact that German is really going to be an important bonus for you, and something that will be helpful for you in those interactions. Or maybe you're really good at fixing the copy machine or some other machine, or something that breaks that you can fix. Or maybe you're just a PowerPoint king, or queen, and when you're doing a presentation, you're the go-to person for PowerPoint because you just really make engaging, creative, and informative PowerPoint presentations, and that's a skill that you have. So any kind of extra skill like that that you can bring and you can develop, that's again not necessarily a requirement for being hired, but something that you can bring extra to your role and whatever job you have is really going to be helpful for you in staying in that job and showing your worth and maybe moving up the ranks. And number 10, similar to just the work ethic that we talked about in number 1, is just having personal responsibility, showing that you're a reliable person that can be trusted, that you can manage yourself, You don't have to be watched all the time and people make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You manage yourself. People, when they think about you as a worker, they know that they can trust you to do a good job and to get things done in an efficient way and to use your time well. That's just a huge bonus. We kind of bookmarked this whole list with kind of similar ideas with the work ethic and responsibility. Those are just huge, though, in terms of, it's not something you learn in college in an academic way. It's something you learn through life experiences and just, going through, school responsibility and work ethic and in the workplace as well. So that's just a huge personal quality that employers need to see, in their workers. All right, so we're going to move on to Career One Stop. It's a site I showed you last lesson, and we're going to spend a bulk of the time in that on that site for the rest of the lesson today. So let me stop sharing and I'll reshare with that site. And as you saw, we're going to look at several different areas, and the first one is the toolkit. So let me share my screen again. All right, so there are a lot of resources here and more than we have time to go over in this lesson. But the book in chapter 12 talks about a lot of things that you would do as you're looking for a job, things that you prepare. So we're going to go through some of those things with this site as a resource. It's very helpful. There's a lot of information here, something you can explore on your own. But I'm going to show just a few things that you could look at now. So in the toolkit, and I'm actually going to have us do this right now during this lesson. I'm going to pause my video and have you guys pause the video, and we're going to do the interest assessment. Okay, so under toolkit here on this main page, and again, you can just Google Career One Stop. It'll take you right here, and you'll be able to find this site pretty easily. So under toolkit, you're going to go over to under careers here where it says interest assessment. You're going to click on that. And as it states, this is an interest assessment. Okay, this is getting to know what careers you might be interested in. And it's going to ask you some questions. There's 30 questions. They're super quick. This should take about 5 minutes. So again, I'm going to pause my video right now, and I'm actually going to take this interest assessment so I can show you how the results look. And I'd like you to do the same. So go ahead and pause your video. I'm going to stop sharing so I can pause, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what the results show and what they might mean for you. All right. I finished the assessment for myself. It literally took like 3 minutes. I should have mentioned, there's a scale on each question from strongly dislike to strongly like, and in the middle is unsure. You want to, if you haven't done it yet, you want to answer as extreme as you possibly can. Try to avoid the unsure response as much as possible. So let me share my screen again, and I'll show you my results, and you can look at yours as well. So you see these letters here, RIASEC. These are called RIASEC codes. And let me go back to the slide here that we were on. So these are called RIASEC codes or Holland codes. There was a career researcher, his last name was Holland, and he kind of came up with these different areas of careers. He put as all the careers you can imagine into these areas of R. The R stands for realistic. The I stands for investigative. A is artistic. S is social. E is enterprising, and C is conventional. So those are the areas that these careers are going to fall under. And there's obviously going to be some overlap between them, and we'll talk about what these areas kind of mean in just a little bit here. Your discussion question for this week is going to have to do with these codes and your assessment, your interest assessment. So make sure you do it, because you got to do this to answer the discussion question. Okay. All right, so let's go back to my results here. So if you look here, my top result was from enterprising. And you can look at the interest score details here if you'd like. You look at those. Actually, no, that was an example, and I was a little surprised by that. Those are not my results. I'm not sure where that came from. Let me look and see if it changed again. There we go. So this might have been from a previous someone who took this test. But here are my results. I was shocked by that. Enterprising is like business marketing, and that is not me at all. I'm definitely much more in the realistic side here. So if you look at the score details, it'll give you an overview of each area. Okay, I'd like you to do this just to understand what these areas are, and it helps you understand yourself in terms of, again, what you're interested in. This may not line up exactly what your skills are, but at least what careers you're interested in. Okay, so for me, my top three, and this is what your discussion question is going to be about, is looking at your top three results. My top three were realistic, social, and conventional. And that makes a whole lot of sense to me, knowing who I am and who I've been as a worker over the years. So realistic, people tend to have athletic interests, prefer to work with objects, machines, tools, plants, or animals, like to be outdoors. That's the realistic area. Investigative, people like to observe, learn, investigate, analyze, and solve problems. Those are, kind of the science field. Artistic, people like to work in unstructured situations using their imagination and creativity. I think you can kind of get an idea what kind of careers would be in that area. Social, people like to work with people to inspire, inform, help, train, or cure them. So you're looking at teachers, therapists, things like that. Enterprising, people like to work with people to influence, persuade, and lead them, and to achieve organizational or financial goals. Okay, that would be kind of the business area, would be the prime example there. Conventional, people like to work with information, carry out detailed tasks, and have clerical or numerical interests. So that might be, someone who works in a warehouse, or the post office, areas like that. Record keeping, organization, those are the areas here. So these are the RIAZAC areas, the Holland codes, and you can actually look at, let me go back to the results here. You can look at careers. It'll give you areas that kind of fit those codes. And let me tell you, you can't really trust this all the time. This is just one very, very quick assessment that can give you an idea of some areas that you may not have heard of before. Okay, don't look at this list and say, oh, I guess that means I have to change what I want to do and go into one of these areas. Definitely does not mean that. When I look at these areas, for me, a lot of these would not make sense. Definitely don't want to be an animal control worker, and don't think that'd be a good fit for me. All right, so you can look through these areas. You can sort by various parameters here. You can look at from hourly wages or from education. So let me look at the hourly wages way to sort, and it talks about, there's anesthesiologist, a good match for me, a radiologist, an anesthesiologist assistant. Okay, so there's different ways you can sort the information here. There is just so much information on this site in terms of careers, and going into some of the details there. So take some time to explore here, and I think this is something that could be really beneficial for you in terms of career exploration, learning about different careers, finding out what might be a good fit for you. All right, back to our slides here. So we're going to look at some more information from Career One Stop here. So in the careers section, so you're going to look at explore careers and what's hot, and then fastest growing careers. So we're going to go back to Career One Stop. I'm going to go back to the home screen here. And again, we're going to look at explore careers and what's hot. So underneath explore careers here, if you look down here, you can see what's hot right there. And underneath that, I'm going to look at fastest growing careers. So this is the occupations that are growing the fastest, expected to grow the fastest over the next 5 to 10 years or so. And for you all as young people, this would be a good list to look at, because it's going to give you an idea what kind of careers are going to have a lot of openings and a lot of need as you're going into the workforce. So if you look at what's hot, you're looking at, nurse practitioner is number 1 on this list. And this is a national, a site that has national data. Okay, so this is all across the United States. And you could click on these links here, and it would take you to the page that talks about nurse practitioner. We talked about that last week, where you can watch a video about it. Talks about salary. You can even look at job openings at some point. There's a lot of information here. So again, you could spend hours and hours on this site exploring it. And I think it'd be helpful to spend some time. So you can go through this list and look at different careers that are high need, careers that are going to have a lot of openings moving forward. Data scientists, there's some are just, service industry. Okay. You're looking at ushers, lobby attendants, ticket takers. Not sure why that's a huge need right now, but apparently people, like their entertainment, and there's a need for that area. So you're going to see jobs from all across the spectrum in terms of pay and required education. But something to look through, and you can, there's pages and pages, 63 pages of jobs here. Go to page 2 here. Web developers, physical therapist assistants. And again, you're going to run into things where you're seeing a title of a job and you're like, I don't even know what that is. All right, look into it. There's a lot of you, if you're high schoolers or college students, you don't have a whole lot of exposure to various careers out there. And there's so much out there that you've never heard of before. And taking time to look through these ideas could just open up your eyes to new areas that you're not familiar with, and maybe, perk your interest into some things that might be a good fit for you. All right. So there's a career section. There's a lot more to explore than what I've showed you. We're going to take a look at the job search area. So this is a really helpful tool for you when you're done with your education, what your career pursuit is, and you're looking for a job. A lot of what you read in chapter 12 was how to get that job. What are things you need to prepare in terms of a resume? What is networking? How do you do that? And there's just a ton of information here right at your fingertips. So we're going to go to job search. And first, we're going to take a look at Salary Finder. So job search, under there, you see over to the right here, it says, hold on. Go back to the home screen. Under job search, let's see. Down here under job tools, you see Salary Finder right at the bottom right. Okay, so if you go there, if salary is important. Okay, you got to make money in this world to survive. So if you're looking at Salary Finder, so it's the last job that I just looked at was nurse practitioner. So you can search in here and just start typing. It'll show some jobs that'll come up. So if you type in, let's say software. Okay, so there's software developers, there's software and quality assurance analysts. Let's look at software developers and search that. Software engineers is a very popular major for students these days. So you look here, it's just going to give you the low, the median, and the high. And again, I think these are probably, maybe the 10th percentile, the 50th percentile, and the 90th percentile. So obviously really good job there. Let's look at, a psychologist. So psychologist, all others, not sure what this will give us here. Probably someone who's just a clinical psychologist, a therapist who's got probably a master's in psychology. And, low end, not sure where that comes from, that real low wage there, but median wage over 100,000. And then if you're working in the industry for a while, $133,000. Let's look at another area people are really interested in. Let's just look at registered nurse. Let's see. Okay, so registered nurse. So a nurse practitioner would be someone who's got a master's degree, someone who can prescribe medicine, they work in a doctor's office. Registered nurse, really good career in terms of salary. You're starting out, almost at 60,000 there on average. Median salary, 77,000, top end, just a nurse, not a nurse practitioner, not a nurse anesthetist, over $120,000 just with a bachelor's degree in nursing. Again, as you work your way up in a company or in a job for many years. All right, so let's look at some other resources here in terms of looking for jobs. There's a networking tool here. Networking is basically making connections, all right, with people, with organizations. And if you look in the job search area, you could see a whole section here on networking. Why network, your elevator speech, making a list of contacts. These are all just helpful suggestions and tools that, once you're ready to take the plunge and look for the job, this would be a great place to go to get some of those tasks done, like a resume, learning about networking. Networking is something that you do now, even at a young age, you start making those connections now. So, all of these things you can take time to look through, why network, your elevator speech. What is an elevator speech? It's basically your short little description of who you are that can make a connection with somebody that might lead to a job. Okay. All right. So there's resumes, cover letter, portfolio information here as well. Again, this is under job search. So information on resumes, information on cover letters. If you look here, you can go to the resume guide. You're going to find sample resumes. You're going to find more than what you could possibly need to know about how to make a resume. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through all of this. I just want you to be aware of this resource so that when you are ready to look for a job, even if it's not the vocation career job that you're looking for, maybe it's just a job that you're looking for over the summer or an internship or some stepping stone job to get to where you want. This is a great resource for you. So let's look at interviews and thank you notes. Who would ever think about writing a thank you note after an interview? But that's something that, looking at this site, it gives that suggestion. I never would have thought of that until looking here. That's a really nice touch after you have an interview to write a thank you note. Let them know that you really appreciated their time. Maybe let them know some of that research you've done about their company and why you really want to work for them because you've heard of such great things throughout the history of their organization. So there's going to be information here about how to do a good interview, how to prepare for an interview, and then maybe some example thank you notes that you could write. And then there's also a resource here where you can actually find jobs that are posted right now. So if we go to find a job now, so under job search, find a job now, we can put in, let's look at software as a keyword, and we'll put up, Detroit, Michigan. All right, so software developer, system software, there's a bunch of job postings, actual job postings that we could go to right now. These are jobs in the Detroit area, Novi, Farmington, Northville. So let's take a look at these. This is one organization here, just posted. You can see when I'm recording this is around November of 2022 when I'm recording this video here, but this is up-to-date information. So really, this is your one-stop. This is why it's called Career One Stop, because it's got everything you could possibly need in terms of learning about careers, learning about who you are and how you relate to the workforce, and then searching for careers and actually finding a job. You can apply to it right here. So again, a great resource, something that hopefully over the life of your career interests, this is something you use more and more. maybe not right now. Maybe right now it's a good source for you to kind of explore careers and look into what are some good fits for you. But again, highly encourage you to spend some time here looking through the site. I've just really touched the surface of what this site has, and there's other sites like this. This is one that I like. I think it's user friendly. I think it has a lot of information. So that is pretty much what I have for today. And that is it for chapter 12. That's it for this book. I'll share another video with information about what's coming next. But that's it for today. And if you have issues or questions, please let me know. But hope you all are well and can finish up the semester well.